All right. So where do we leave things? I mean, I did some more work over the last couple weeks when I had time. You know, life gets in the way sometimes. Hell, some debug stuff. Just cleaning up some junk that I was working on. So last time we were working on prefabs, and I pretty much got that to work, including loading and saving the scenes. I think that I hadn't actually set up the loading and saving the stream of prefabs on stream, but I did it off stream. I worked a little bit on fog, but I didn't get to a good solution there yet. There's some complications there because the way that I want to do it is, the same way as the light clustering is, fog volume with, fog cluster information. So I know in each cluster what the fog data is at a higher resolution than everything else, rather than the lighting, because fog needs to be higher resolution, and have fog volumes, divine volumes and stuff, with some swirlies in it and things like that. So that'd be really nice, but I didn't quite get there last week when I was messing with it. But I figure we'll continue on prefabs for right now because I don't feel like beating my head against the wall with math today after a long week. So let's see. I'll reset up here. Ooh, a lot of things to close out. Oh, no chat. Get chat up. Closing up all the extra junk on my desktop. I could swear maybe my volume's too loud. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Turn it down a little bit more. So now, Microsoft released the Windows GDK yesterday. Yeah, I've always been confused by the naming of that. And some of the GDK has been public for a while. But I think this is the shared GDK that works on Windows and Xbox, and it's all in the public, which is nice. That's a positive, right? I don't know if that'll return the days of old XNA or anything, but we'll see. Sorry, I'm still cleaning up my desktop a bit here. Just have too many things open that I can't leak on stream. Man, how many browser windows did I have open? About 1 million. That happens, huh? 1 million browser windows. Have 3 remote desktop windows. That's not cool. Don't close those things. Does anybody have one of those Microsoft or Xbox handheld devices? We're looking at grabbing one of those things for some testing on a project. All right. Yeah, I mean, in theory, Xbox stuff can be pretty much fully public. There's in ours is as well. Like at least all the rendering is. There's a little bit that isn't, but in theory, all of it can be public. There's really. Let's see. Oh, submitting your PS5 build certification tomorrow. Network complicates everything. Yeah, network complicates everything. That's always the truth. Yeah, the ROG Ally was what we were thinking about, but I was thinking about getting that MSI Claw because you want something that's lower end that can verify that something's going to work well on the higher end devices instead of getting like a bunch of different devices. Figure if it runs on the low end Claw, then it'll run on everything. All right, so finally got my desktop under control. So that's good. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Took me a little while. Kill some stuff. All right. Share my screen finally. R1. Your PS5 port is only running at 1020 FPS for some reason. Yeah, I mean, those are the things you have to figure out, right? The profilers there are pretty good. I would run the profiler. That will tell you a lot. All right, so yeah, I was walking on some fog stuff, but that didn't quite work out. I'm going to do a couple things today. One, I want to try to get, just don't debug. Sorry, I was running a release build. Let me make sure the fog stuff that I had there is kind of off because it's kills performance at the moment. All right, so let me just run it real quick. So one thing is I've been wanting to increase the number of lights processed from 16 a cluster to something a little bit bigger. So I went to 32, and the performance isn't the greatest. Some of it's probably the limitations of the shader that I'm using. Some of it's that how my lights are set up. Things are looking pretty good, and we're still working on getting the. Oh crap! I don't have the editor on, but this works. You can see that here the frame rate is just frame times hovering at 14 milliseconds, and I'm pretty sure that is all. I think that's GPU time that's actually being the problem there, if I remember correctly. Yeah, like this direction, 5 milliseconds. Now there's a ton of lights right here. Let me just run a release or debug build. So I have a bunch of stuff off in release builds that I probably don't need to have off, at least not for this. It's just a test. I fix that while this is going on? Nope, can't. So as followers like MonoGame's Xbox stuff, I mean, it is, if you come into our native code and look at native code DX12, this is pretty much all the Xbox stuff. This is all shared with Xbox. Essentially, you'll see some Xbox defines in here, if I remember correctly, somewhere. It's like in a header. Yeah. Wherever the frick that is. Oh, there it is. So you'll see some Xbox defines in places for stuff that is specific to different Xbox versions and stuff. That's all been very public for a while. So, and other repos do the same sort of thing. What's not in there is, I think it's just some, let me check real quick and see what's not in there. So I'm curious. But all that stuff can technically go into the public at this point, but you know, it's not like there's anything super secret in there that is that interesting. Like whatever, what else is in there that's not in the public? So all graphics has been moved into there, into the public. I'm looking in the wrong place. That doesn't help. Okay, that's the wrong one too. What the heck is it? That's weird. I could swear that's all in the public already. Anyways, the stuff that's extra there is there's a little bit of code around gamepads. You know, we can push that into the public, you know, but it's really not, you know, that interesting. And it's very specific to, you know, the Xbox implementation. There's no reason to use it on Windows. The X-Audio implementation is completely shared, you know, with Xbox. So for the most part, all the Xbox stuff is really shared. I mean, we don't have like specific Xbox saving APIs or anything like that. That'll change, you know, and that stuff will probably go back in the public. And we don't have any network code or anything else like that. The achievement APIs, I think that might be in the public, but it's not part of MonoGame, so not a concern. All right, so what I wanted to do here is get to show. So like you can see all these overlapping lights. That's kind of, you see how big those lights are? You know, I was looking to set up the lighting and I was like, well, what's the realistic fall off? And it's using a realistic fall off, which when you do that, it's kind of exponential, if I remember correctly. And it means that your lights are gigantic, but they only affect the very center of it. And I think I need to stop doing that because that's so not efficient for culling and the like. You know, maybe I can be smarter about my volumes, you know, but it's just not efficient for culling. And it means that, you know, it's looking here and it's going like, oh, there's a million lights that are overlapping. Like, you know, there's clusters here with 30 lights, you know, because all these lights here are overlapping. Like, you know, this little cluster on the center here has like a million lights overlapping. And the clusters are volume, so there's depth, but, you know, there are places where there are that many lights overlapping, and it really shouldn't be. So it's something, and I think there might be some errors in our clustering that might be, you know, being overly aggressive on the clustering. So that doesn't help either. So that's something that I wanted to improve a little bit. But first, I wanted to check out and see, you know, how much of this is, so I'm there, vsync off. I'm just going to do a runtime hack here. So just sitting for frame time 13 milliseconds. I just want to see what happens if I come in here to the cluster and stop cluster updates. I don't have a button to do it. That'll do it. Just curious, you know, how much time might be tied up in that. Very little to anything. So it's all on the GPU. So even if I optimize the CPU side of things, which probably does need to be optimized somewhat, you know, it's all the time is tied up in the GPU. It's not any CPU time. Really need to put in CPU time into this whole thing so I can see that more clearly. That would help with things. think I started to do that, but I didn't get it finished or something. Let's do that real quick while we're thinking of it, because that'll be nice to know. Where did that go? Yeah, so that's what's happening there. I think how this works is, yeah. See, it's not tracking like, it's updating here. It just checks from update to update. So if I wanted to track actual frame time without I'd have to basically skip the time that's in the present, which is going to be way up in game. I think I did this actually for, I think I did this for the profiler. Yeah. Yeah, to do that, I'd have to like capture the time here. I can probably do that though. No, it wasn't mini profiler. We just kind of hacked one in there directly. That's probably something I should probably look into adding. I think you mean this thing, right? Yeah, I should probably look to add like a third-party profiler that's kind of nice. Just integrate it with the thing better. So let's see if I can do this real quick. So this is working without a timer. And what I probably need to do is, okay, Screen Manager does this. It's not in a very, yeah, I want to do the same thing, but I kind of want to add it into the FPS tracker. But it's kind of like stuck there. It just doesn't have to be. So make the FPS tracker have a private constructor, have a public instance. Then I can access it from anywhere. Yeah, I probably didn't have to do it that way, but this is good enough for my purposes. Should probably stop it, huh? So let the compiler tell me where it's broken. What? Oh. Makes this stuff a little bit longer, but who cares? All right. That allows me to do what I want to do here, which is so I think what I want to do. This other junk's kind of in the way, but whatever. That profiler stuff doesn't work very well, so come on, thing, help me out here. Come on, thing. Is Discord currently down? That's interesting. Is that like a global outage of some sort? So I'm gonna call it CPU time. I'm not gonna fret too much about this. Very, very simple. Sounds cool. That should work. Huh, that's interesting. So it's totally down. Hey, what did it do? Oh, I see what it did. Me. Wait, did I do that wrong? Yeah, it took him to. Oh wait, I think I'm doing it wrong. I need to get the elapsed milliseconds, then stop it. Yep, there we go. That's interesting. mean, I guess the elapsed milliseconds is nothing in this case. Here's where we should see it. There we go. Very simple, but it works. So CPU time is absolutely nothing. Have I ever implemented crash reporter like Bugsplat? Like Bugsplat? No, that sounds vaguely familiar. I mean, I used to research crash reporters and stuff like that when I was working in app development. That was a very long time ago, so totally different era. And we had tools like that that we could build in that would automatically dump out, capture errors and report them. And there's different tools out there, and some games use them and others don't. And last time we shipped something that we had to build a bug reporter was Grandia. We worked on the Grandia remake, not remake, but remaster from a few years back, and it was just a custom C++ app because it was based on the original Grandia code, and we needed crash reporting of some sort, so we put in some crash hooks. Again, we're just on Windows, that is. On Windows, we need crash reporting, put in some hooks for crashes, and we dumped out good information, and we pushed that stuff through the Steam API, and that worked well enough for us to get good crash reports on things. But the consoles all have their own crash reporting systems and stuff, so it's not something you have to worry too much about. So yeah, it's not that big deal. It just depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, ideally, you don't have that many crashes and you can reproduce things, but crash reporters do help. So one thing that's not helping us here is the fact that my desktop is at what, like, yeah. I mean, it's not 4K, but it's still at a high resolution, and I had this window really big on there, so that's probably hurting my fill rate. And I'm also in a windowed mode instead of actual full screen, so that probably didn't help. So yeah, I mean, that's when our frame rate starts to tank, is under these conditions. Again, CPU time is not the problem. So anyways, that's good to know. God damn it, that fucking rocket. All right, nice little improvement there, but isn't really our problem. Problem definitely is not that. All right, so that's working. Let me just do one more thing to sanitize, or just sanity check here. So if I do this, it should be this. It should basically match up with the frame time. It's pretty similar. It looks like it's matching up. So, I don't need to, I could get fractions of milliseconds if I do it the right way, right? I think I can. I'm just surprised I don't get okay, there we go. I think when you do milliseconds, it's returning an integer value. So that's why we're not getting fractionals. You can see how these kind of match up now. And then if I come in here and move this guy back to present, which present will happen inside that end draw. Get just the CPU time, which is a little bit better now that it's fractional. Hard to read. That's why I kind of have the other one set to like update periodically instead of all the time. That's good enough though. It's a good sanity check that things are not flipping out. My CPU is pretty old too, so it's not a super fast CPU. This gives me a better feel for like performance of things. 3 millisecond CPU time, everything's tied up in the GPU, so I know that any improvements need to happen on the GPU side, basically, which my GPU also isn't super high end. Let's go look at that. Just curious where my fog. I mean, I know my fog CPU code was bad. Let's see how bad it is. I'm just curious. It's doing a lot of stuff on the CPU it shouldn't be. Yeah, that's pretty bad, right? It's basically now dragged down by it. So that's how bad it was. I knew it was bad. It's like I'm testing stuff and I'm doing work that I should be doing on the GPU on the CPU to start with, and then I'm going to transfer that work to the GPU to the CPU. Oh, sorry, I did that wrong. Or to the GPU. I'm going to transfer that work to the GPU once I get things working. Just taking one step at a time. All right, so yeah, so we left off, we had these prefab concepts where I could come in and, why can't I resize that? It's very annoying. I could add a prefab. That's a prefab right there. And then I can come in and select one of them. So there's this prefab, you know, and then there's this hallway. That's another prefab I made. It has like the light built in. It has little lights in it. So those are two different prefabs that I set up. Undo redo should totally work on it as well. Yep. So if I go look in the folder, what the heck that is. Content assets, prefabs folder. So there's two prefabs. There's just XML files. Here's one of them. It's just a scene, just like a regular scene. So like a regular scene looks like, oh, it's in levels. So here's that level that I'm in. You see like scene, children, spawn, scene, children, you know, so there's how it all works. So with it working this way, they basically, in theory, they can be loaded like scenes. So one thing I wanted to do was be able to get into a mode where it's easy to edit the existing prefab, you know, by basically unloading the scene and loading another one, which I haven't tried to do yet, but I think it's worth trying. So I think it might be worth doing that, you know, where we can go. I guess how it should work is, you know, file open, I guess. We should be able to change levels. Roz732 will be doing a showcase at the Too Many Games Expo. Too Many Games Expo. Where's that at? June 26, 28. Awesome. We appreciate it. You know, getting the word out that that you're not just another Unity title. I was looking at stats on Steam the other day, and like the amount of Unity titles on Steam is kind of ridiculous. It's vastly beyond Godot and Unreal. They really screwed up when they did their whole weird, you know, I'm going to charge you per install bullshit. All right, so I want to add a file open in here that will open scenes in the thing. So let's do that. So it's file save. Let's go to file. Let's make a file open. I search the word save. Maybe I get lucky and it's in here. Should be, right? Yeah, there it is. And you put 3 little dots behind it to signify to the person that is looking at this, like, oh, you intend to let me select something afterwards. And then how to select it is the next question. I mean, I could do a file dialog, but I really hate that. Yeah, the pull request on their repo is crazy, and they've been hit by, they've been hit by a lot of AI junk as well, and that's gotta really suck. So how I want to do this probably, and I hate to have to write a new UI, but I kind of do need to. I mean, I could just let you select it like through a file picker. That kind of sucks. This is the boring stuff. I'll use the toolbox as a example or as a starting point. All right. Gross. That thing has no copyright info. God damn. My mouse cursor. My mouse. It's a good mouse, but like it'll sometimes the wheel wants to roll, and as I'm clicking, it's like, oh, you clicked and you rolled, or I'm holding down control and it suddenly starts zooming for no reason. It's probably my fault, but still. I hate all these junky things that are in there for no reason. All right. This box sounds great. Not sure what that is. Is that resizing? This is weird stuff. I'm not sure what that is. Okay, let's do that, and then let's see if we can. Just not going to mess with that, setting it up just yet. I just want to open it. Probably something that makes it modal, right? That's how I want to do it. sure that's what I want to do. It's going to totally screw everything up. That's fine. Yeah, that's true. LLM's being called AI. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. It definitely happened. How? I'm unsure. It is kind of weird, though. You would think that that's not the case, but it is. All right, so file, open. Hey, look, it opened a little dialog up here. Let's see if I can stick a close box button in there. It looks like it consumed all my input, which is what I wanted to do. Like I can't escape the editor. I can't do anything. It's what I wanted. It needed to be just like that. That works. All right. Let's add a close and a, which I guess that just means adding a button. Or can I just add a, I wonder if it has a feature for it. I bet you it does. Yeah, maybe it doesn't have a close button. In fact, I think there's an example of a close button already in here. With GUM, the UI system we're using here is GUM, and with it, I don't know enough about how it works, so a lot of times I just have to kind of look for examples in the existing stuff. The developer kind of jumped in here and did the initial implementation, so he knows it better than I do. Yeah, not a good, no examples of a close button, so I just need to make a close button. Oh, this pop-up was an example of it. Let's just add something in here. Huh. I think that's all I need to do. It's incorrect, yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Nope, nope. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. No, but this is not going to work. Because close doesn't really do what you expect it to do. Probably need to remove it from parent or something more complicated than that. Hey, look, that did it. Not sure why it's doing that, but I'll take it, I guess. And why aren't these resizable? Resizable just on the top. I think this is that, this junk here. Let's see. Yeah, that's what that junk is. I see. I can fix this thing then. Not sure why that's happening, but whatever. Progress. So I'm going to do a hack here to grab all the we have a little bit of a problem here in that, you know, how the content builder works. Well, we'll deal with that in a minute, but like it's trying to save itself to the output well, no, it's trying to save to the source content path, but the game isn't running out of the source content path, it's running out of the built content path. But, you know, it's possible that in editor modes, we want to read at least the XML from the source content path. You know, but some of this is going to be fixed. Harry did some work for us so we can set up the content server stuff, and that's going to help us a lot. So when we get there, we'll get to that. I'll pass that through so it has it, since it already knows how to get it, and I don't want to have to do this again. I'm gonna basically gonna scan for all the level files. Nope. Come on. Read files. He doesn't need to look in subdirectory, so let's not do that. Instead of doing this, I'm just going to do I guess there's no choice but to do something like this, which sucks. Add. See what happens. I can delete that, but seems like the internet's been going up and down, huh? Keep seeing something and people dropping out of the thing. I mean, I know the stream's pretty boring, but I don't think it's that boring. Okay, well, that didn't work. Maybe that would work. Well, maybe it's not that. having those seams would help. Oh, it's the order. Yeah, we'll definitely do it. Probably do it again. Hey, look, it worked. I only picked up 2 of them. Oh, I think it's because the levels are not named. No, it is called. Oh, they're in subfolders. That's why. But I put them in there, so that's what I wanted. I'll take it for now. I don't know if that's actually going to do anything. We'll see. Yeah, I didn't think so. Wish I knew if they had like a title bar concept there. Maybe they do. So far, I've seen nothing with a title bar, so maybe it doesn't exist. It'd probably be just as easy to fix that. Just doing this. I don't know. It's probably not the right type. Still don't understand the difference between the visual and a I got something sort of working. I don't care about the finer, nicer details. I just want to get something that works. All right, so this is giving me basically what I want. What I probably want to do is hook into double click. Oh. I don't want to insert a function. Obviously. Sender event arcs. Actually, let's not do it that way. Let's add a button at the bottom that is open. I think that'll be better. Let's do it down here. That just will make everything a lot easier. Not fancy, but it works. Super basic, functional, which is all that matters. So here it needs to do list box. I assume selected index would be, it could probably be null or not null, but probably -1. Do that. Otherwise, make an action here probably. Come on. Fat fingered that pretty good. Come on, thing. Let's stop it now and fix that. I always forget, action is the return. Okay, yeah. Let's call it that. Divanish rot. I'm sorry, I'm horrible at Indian names and of that region. Okay, you know, things are hard like everybody. Things are never easy. Let's see. Sorry, notice I was quiet for a very long time. Let's see. Question: where do you think a person who knows C++ should look in the world to get better? I mean, look, I don't know. Looking doesn't seem great. I mean, there's some good streamers that talk about C++, and there's one guy I think I saw that like reviews C++ code and kind of gives tips and stuff, and that could be interesting to watch. But at the end of the day, you have to actually do something with it. Otherwise, it's not really that interesting, you know. I think you have to actually work on stuff. I think that's how you learn the best, and how you get the most experience is you do things. So take your knowledge and do something with it. You know, don't just nothing ends up selected. I had to verify something here real quick. Okay, it doesn't do anything. Nothing's there. Good. All right, so I have basic dialog that works. So next step is to have it actually open something. So that's a whole other thing. So I think, let's see. So the scene is the thing that actually loads everything. And I do, let's see, what's the right way to do this? So scene is the thing that does the actual loading of the scene. I'm not going to worry about things like saving the existing scene or anything like that. I just want to worry about loading. So I'm just going to get the scene and call load, and we'll see how things turn out. I think that's the easiest way to handle this, right? Because that directly calls that. As long as I structure it the right way, it should load it the right way. So we'll see. I guess I should probably make it unload a scene first, right? What does it do to unload a scene? Does it? Maybe I've never had a feature to unload a scene. It should be pretty straightforward, though. There'll probably be some dangling references to stuff that I'm not expecting. But I think basically, I need to basically make sure on-light remove is called on everything. I basically need to go through all the entities and call remove on them one at a time. I think that's probably the right way to handle that. Who calls remove normally? Create action, delete action, prefabs, projectile manager. Okay. I'm going to go through all the entities and close the scene. So let's just add a function for doing that. Void. We call it unload. Call entities to list, which it's already a list, but what that does is make it a copy of the list so that I don't mess with that. This is probably the slow way to update everything, but it ensures that everything gets cleaned up. And in the end, everything here should be empty in theory. I could probably put in some assertions for all that. I'm just going to say scene dirty false. It's not dirty. Do we even use that? Oh, it's used for that, right? For updating the scene information. Because it does a drawable sort and a couple other things. So, yeah, I mean, that's perfectly fine. I don't know how the game's going to react with an empty, completely empty scene, so we'll see. And then load the scene. Let's just start there and see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen when I do that. So let's find out. I mean, one thing I'm a little worried about this, can it unload the player? And that could be bad, but let's find out. Sometimes just trying it is better than hypothesizing. So there are how many entities? 75 entities in the scene. Now there's 0. Nothing left in the lights or anything else. And I'm pretty sure at this point, I mean, it's out of the entity list, but I think the object still exists. It didn't crash, so that's something. What happens if I create something? It still works. That's cool. I can't fly around though because my entity is gone. My camera's basically stuck in the last place it was. So that's funny. But all the other systems are working. So I just need to make sure that I don't unload the player, I guess, basically. It's the one thing I can't unload when I unload the scene, is that. That's totally funny. Oh gosh. Let's see. Yeah, I guess the network went down or something because I don't know if it was me or the internet, because it went down to like 3 viewers and then everybody came back. Could just be the streaming service. All right, am I still here? Yeah, I'm still here. Okay, so that's all working still. All right, so that worked. It created everything. Well, what am I running into there? Invisible geometry. Oh wait, what about this thing? How did that end up there? Oh, I think there's some code in there that says if there isn't one, create one. Is it running into that? Yeah, there's some collision there. I bet you there's some collision object that isn't getting cleared whenever it gets seen as destroyed. Some debug helpers for this. Debug helpers don't render the collision, it renders the see how the clustered lighting works there. My light volumes don't really show very well what's happening. Each bullet spawns its own light, so that's why it does that. It probably doesn't need to do that. So it makes it generate multiple lights, and then you can see how like they're going on forever. So that's probably not good either. That they basically don't die after a certain amount of time. Because like I'm just adding more and more lights into the scene. Tan Guy Shiner. Hello, Tom, and hello, everyone. Thank you for these lessons. I mean, I don't know if they're that. You tell me if it's useful. I don't know if they're great lessons. They're lessons. You know, me cobbling through stuff. So yeah, that's kind of bad. I need to fix those things to actually die after some time, because that's kind of ridiculous that those are still going. There's still 20 lights out there in the scene for no reason. That's probably not great for performance. But whatever. All right. So closing a scene works. Let's open a scene. So I'm going to, come on, editor. So this is not going to work because I'm going to be passing in the full scene, and what I really need to be passing is the well, what does it need? It loads it through load scene file name. So it just calls open stream. So it assumes that the scene is yeah, it doesn't go through the content pipeline. It just loads it directly from disk because it's just raw XML. And we talked about, like, we could serialize that into a binary format, make it fancy or whatever, but it's not important right now. So OpenStream that. So I need it to be relative to the content folder, basically. So, and that's what happens here when we open this thing. It's, you know, I have the content path. So I need to store this content path and then remove it. And then I think, and let's see, I have hit or miss luck with this. Let's see if that does what we expect it to do. I don't trust that it will. I think it'll probably leave a slash or put a dot something in there, which I don't necessarily want. But it's probably better than just trying to manually hack it or do something kind of lame, like subtract the length of the string or something like that. I don't like junk like that, but, you know, it's doable, I guess. I need to make this window center and be bigger size. So I'm going to load this other level. Open. So content path is Ascent demo. It's that relative. Hey, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. Imagine that. Let's see. Unload, then load. Load scene. It did not open. Why didn't it open? File not found. Why? What is it? Is it a file not found? Let's check. I wonder if it needs a leading path marker. Maybe it doesn't need to be relative to content. I forget. Just gonna set a breakpoint there and see what happens when it loads the scene normally. What did it not like? That looks the same, right? Let's store this. And that looks the same too. I mean, different slashes and junk, but notice it's loading the same prefab multiple times. That's not good. Oh, I see. That is the reason. It is grabbing it relative to the content path. And this is assuming that the path is underneath it. Yeah, I think I see what the problem is here. Yeah, it's relative to itself. I don't know if I can go any further here. Yeah, it's looking relative to this, and MyOpen isn't trying to do that. It's trying to read it out of the other path. It's trying to read it out of this path, which isn't where it's looking. It wants to look at the other path, and it can't read in this other path. Because it's way down in here. Oh God, this bullshit. Oh, Microsoft, this fucking command line resource bullshit. It's so fucking annoying. Oh, that's the content builder anyways. But it was looking in there, but really it needs to look way over here, so it can't. This is where it gets a little tricky because it's like, well, what file am I loading? Am I loading the output one or the input one? And I think the output one is the one I'm loading, but it's not very flexible for what I'm trying to do here. I think what I need to do is, all right, I think I need to know what I need to do. Because I need to be able to work both ways, I think. It's all really tricky. I mean, this is where the editor has to know that there's a runtime in an editor kind of case. The 20 games challenge, not heard of that before. Let's look it up real quick while we're here. Cool. It's a fun little project. Pong, Flappy Bird, Breakout, Jetpack Joyride. Sort of a Flappy Bird. Kind of jumps around a little bit. River Raid, Space War. Yeah, that's a fun list. Yeah, it starts to get kind of hard down here, huh? Roblox. I'm not sure why you're talking about Roblox. Hang on a second, something came up. All right, hang on. Sorry, just having to put out a fire. All right, sorry about that. So what I think I need to do is I need to do something like this. If this is really only for editor. Fucking AI. Then up here, right. So that fixes this in editor mode. Say if it's a rooted path, just open it directly, but only in editor mode. And then in here, I can fix the call here to not do this relative shit, which I don't love, but it's something. John Smith. Yeah, tell me, everybody, like, let me know what you think about this time schedule. I moved it back because it seemed like, you know, it was pretty early in the day for some people. But I'm willing to change things around. So let me know. But thanks for checking in. So come in here. File, open. This first one, go open. It's going to have full rooted path. Is rooted? Yes, open scene. So it did it. It's going to load. Okay, it loaded. So there we go. We have scene loading now. It seems to be working fairly good. Nothing blew up, at least. Again, it's just loading an XML file. There's no other data files it's reading from there, so it's pretty safe what it's doing. Yeah, it's leaving some collision data and stuff. Like, it's not cleaning up some of its collision information. There's like some stray collision in here. Probably should make sure it also clears undo redo when I'm doing this. There, I'm back to the original level. So cool. So loading scenes works now, which also means that loading prefabs should work. So if I come in here and take like this flicker box or this hull prefab, it should open just the hull. And in theory, I should be able to change just the hull. See, it keeps adding in this one global. It adds this in, like there's some code in there that says if there isn't one of these, add one, because it needs it. And I need to fix that so that this one isn't saved, or because I don't want that to be in a prefab. So bright because this has like a very bright default lighting. So yeah, interesting. So yeah, so this is working. I just need to make sure save works in a reasonable way. So let's test that. So we have this opened. I'm going to move this over here, or what's something more visible, I guess. Let's add a second light. Duplicate that guy, move him over here. And I don't think these aren't attached or anything. It's loaded as a scene. They're not They are attached. It is a prefab, but prefabs don't necessarily make things relative to each other. And I never fix the relative stuff to do the right thing. I don't remember what the keyboard commands are for attaching things, but let's leave this alone. Let's see what happens when we do it this way. Also means you can put things in prefabs and they don't necessarily parent, I guess, which is maybe bad. So I'm going to hit, let's test save real quick. Oh, that's bad. Level file. It's going to save it to level file. So that's not a good way to store, what current level we're on in Game Manager. Let's go fix this real quick. I mean, this is only really needed in the case of the editor, really. Guess this uses it. Who signs it? Set level files assigned by something, I guess. Yeah, the startup process says Game Manager, set this as the level that you're loading. So that's fine for that. I mean, I could keep it there, and that doesn't hurt anything. Like, actually, it's because of this. It's like very much like, oh, this is the folder to this. It's really the level name. Okay, I need to clean this all up. Yeah. This is the level directory, and this is the name of the level folder, and this is the name of the level file itself. So yeah, not super awesome. What's the best way to do this? Okay, let's do it this way. Let's fix level file to be the actual level file. Recalls this needs to actually set the correct level. Just move this way out here so that that works that way. This just works this way. And it means that this can call not the greatest, but I'll take it. At least it ends up with the right name, right? All pretty gross, though. And you would think maybe the scene should hold on to what level it loaded. That might be a little nicer. Also, I guess I need to fix this other. I don't need to do that anymore, because that is, yeah, I need to check into this real quick. Yeah, that made a mess of things, right? Yep. I think all it needs, directory, I think I just need this. Nope, that's not the right place. This is making a bunch of assumptions as well. It yeah, the structure is just in a different place. That sucks. That sucks. Okay. Bunch of hacking here. It's and it's going to be I need to call the, we know that this is going to have a relative path, or it should have a relative path to the file. Gross. Don't love it. Here's the fun part of game dev. It's all based around this two different path problem. So I need the right path to save it to. That's one thing. And then there's a different path that needs to be in level file, because the level file's path is going to be, yeah, I just have to clean it up on both ends. Like, this isn't going to work exactly. Because that's not going to have the asset, the content folder in it, because it's removed. So let's make this path relative to content. So content always has to be appended to it, but nothing else. So let's do that. It's going to be easier because we can move where the content's at. Okay. So it's going to be this. So that makes sense. I just need to fix this. be that. And then here needs to do I think that's going to work. That freaking thing. And it seemed to work. Okay, loaded. If I hit save. That looks correct. I think it put it in the right place. Let's verify. Level 3. Is it modified today? Yep, it's modified now. So it did the right thing there. So that worked. And the question is, if I come in and open, does this do the right thing? Content assets level 1 gets that. Gets the content source path, makes it relative to this. Okay, but it still needs to remove it needs to remove content and assets. So I need to take this and, okay, I need to do this. Sure, that's going to be broken for right now, but that's fine. We'll do it again. Probably could have done it all again, but whatever. Wait, no, is that right? Yeah, that's correct. I think that's correct. We'll find out. Come on, why don't you open? There we go. Directory Ascent demo, directory demo assets, demo content assets, levels, level 1 level. Okay, that looks right. Loaded properly. And I'm going to make one of these lights flicker. Save it. It's always nice to make things feel more alive. And this thing is bright. I need to fix this color picker so badly. It's such a shitty color. Made it darker, did that. I hit save, it's gonna come here. Directory content assets, key manager level file, complete level file, content assets levels, level 1 level. And if I look in here, level 1 level, that should change. Yep, changed. Okay, so it's working. It also means that I can come and hit open and open a prefab. Problem is the prefabs still don't load from the right place. like I need to make it a special case. The prefabs have to load from the asset path when you're in editor mode, and not from, like, all the assets have to load from the asset path in editor mode, and not, you know, from the built assets. I mean, the textures, the other stuff, that could come from the built assets, but this coming from the built assets, I mean, until we have the, I mean, this will be solved by the content server, because once the content server is running, it'll fetch things for us when they're dirty. So I can open that scene. It will set the level file prefabs haul. Yep, sets level file. And when I come in here and grab this guy and duplicate him, put him over here, do something like that. File save. Prefabs haul 1. I should see prefabs haul 1 change. 24. It changed. I think, did I have it open? No, I didn't. It changed. That said, when I open it, it's not going to open from the right place, but I have to load the scene again to see if that changed. So let's, when I do this, you're going to see the content builder build, because it's going to build the, it saw that that XML is changed. It should build the XML here, which is just a copy. Yeah, haul and level got copied across. So it does the right thing. Right, so we should see, yep, look at that. So the prefab worked, it has that there. So yeah, that's awesome. So we can now load and save prefabs. There's still some problems related to content copies that, you know, I think I'm going to let the content builder solve, and not me doing some manual work here. Yeah, so this is working. Doing what I wanted it to do, which is, you know, allow me to open up a prefab, make some edits to it. The problem is that currently it doesn't, it's not live. I can't go and edit this prefab. Like, it'd be nice if I could select the prefab here. Need to fix that selection. It's very, I mean, I understand what's happening because I know how it works, but most people won't. See, there's two icons overlapping here. When I select one, the one that I select goes away. That's probably not the best. It should probably stay there, but maybe change the icon in some way. Maybe it should pulse or something. And then, so I know I'm selecting the mesh and not the prefab. So I'm selecting the mesh within the prefab. But if I click again, it's going to select the prefab and not the mesh. Oh, and it hides the icons for the rest of the prefab when you select them. So yeah, I can probably do something better about that selection process there. So now I'm moving the prefab, which moves everything. Which I guess, wait, is that, that's interesting. I guess the prefab is that, but I didn't think it was before. Oh, I think maybe the prefabs, like, it always attaches everything with the prefab. That's interesting. If I rotate it, it's working. Let me go look at that prefab real quick. Okay, it's interesting. It's technically not parented to it, but I think they're all parented to the prefab. Yeah, so that's the thing, is like, these were parented before as children here. They don't technically have to be now that they're a parent is the prefab. They don't need to be attached in this way. They can be free, right? But since we were moving the prefab, I guess that's the difference, right? Like if I come in here and undo what I just did there. Wait, I can't undo. Why can't I undo? I'm not sure why undo is not working. Sometimes it gets blocked. I think it's like a text edit or something in here. Screws me. Weird. Anyways, if I move the mesh, you'll see the mesh moves, but the other light doesn't. Because this light is this one down here, and it's not parented to the static mesh. So I can move the static mesh within the prefab, because you can modify the prefab. You know, it doesn't save properly in this case, but you can modify the prefab this way. But this isn't parented, so that's why it doesn't move. But if I move the whole prefab, it all moves together because they're all relative to each other. Actually, it keeps the original prefab's relative information, so that's why it does it that way. Okay, interesting. All right. So yeah. John Smith, by the way, the aesthetics of the game grew immensely. Thanks. Oh, you had some other posts. Path combined in line 329 should be further subdivided between content and assets, otherwise it will work on Linux Mac. I don't know if this applies to the scope of the project. Should be further subdivided between. Do you mean the path dividers? I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, that's something we definitely need to work on and make sure that it works there. But I haven't spent time on that. I'm a Windows person, not a Mac Linux person, so it's hard for me to give judgments on those things. But this is basically working. What it definitely needs is it needs to, I mean, there's a couple things that need to happen to make this system more robust. I need to have a binary representation of the prefabs that allows for easy cloning of them. You know, an in-memory binary representation that allows me to clone a prefab very quickly. Because currently when you look, we saw that earlier. When I load a scene here, you'll see that it's like file name. Okay, loading the level, that's fine. Then it's like, hey, I'm loading Flickerbox. That's one prefab. There's another prefab. Hey, it loads the same prefab again. It's literally loading that's loading it from disk. So it's deserializing the same prefab multiple times for no reason. The system could be smarter about that. The prefab system could be smarter about that and say, I'm going to load it one time, but I need to be able to clone the created prefab so I can clone instances of it without touching disk again. So what you really want is a compact form of the information about the prefab without hitting disk. You know, I could start by just, you know, loading the XML in the memory, but you're still parsing XML, and that sucks. You want instancing to be instant and not something that takes some time. So you really want the prefab system to kind of cache those things in memory so you can quickly create new instances of things. You don't want to have like a prototype that it copies, because, you know, C#, I've not had great experiences with C# clone, you know, systems where you do object.clone and it makes deep copies of things. Like, I've never had good luck with those things. They're kind of fragile, in my opinion. They based on reflection, which isn't the greatest. You know, we have a reflection system built into the game. You know, if you look at how the entities work, they have these editables in there. And that's basically what it loads from disk. So I already have a system. I just need to take advantage of that to build a binary representation in memory. Then that binary representation is used to make instances of things. They can do them really quickly because it's just saying, you know, what's the type? here are the properties, set the properties, go. You know, it's a very quick way for it to work instead of the slow path. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping, is that I can fix it to have a fast path for that. That will make it keep from loading those things multiple times. Even though it's not a big deal now, it'll become a bigger and bigger deal as you build bigger levels with more stuff in it. All right, so did we learn anything today? No, not too much, I guess. We got ourselves a nice little, not nice, but an okay, hey, we know what our CPU time is now compared to our frame time. We know our frame time is pretty bad. You know, it has nothing to do with debug release. It has to do, everything has to do with shaders and the amount of stuff that's being rendered. In fact, I think it's probably all tied up in the lighting. And I'm sure that if I disabled the lighting path or had the lighting path not generate as much lights, like, so it's going 15 milliseconds, 14 milliseconds, right? If I come in here and go to our light clusters, and instead of storing, let's see, here's the code that bins a light. I'm going to do something very simple. If I have it skip putting things in clusters if the count, but I did not like. Huh? I don't understand. I mean, that's just a list, right? And of course it's oh, what the fuck am I doing? My brain's not working, I guess. So if the count's greater than 0, it's going to skip. So it's only going to bin one light per cluster. So what does our frame rate look like now? So bidding one light per cluster brings our frame time down to 7. You know, that's the problem, is the loop that it does for every light is too expensive. And that's where all our frame time is being tied up in. I don't have shader debugging on, do I? Make sure that that's not happening, because that would definitely not make it as performant. Builder. Yeah, I don't think it is. So it would have to be here if it was. So yeah, it's not running debug shaders, but this is the frame rate we get. So almost all the time is tied up in the light shader. Like, so it was like 13 milliseconds before, and now it's 6. So it's like half the time is based on the number of lights that are there. And in fact, I bet if I increase the number of lights, I'm going to go to 2, get some more lights in there. Didn't affect the frame time too much, 7 milliseconds versus like 6. I'm going to go to 6. There, frame time down to 9 milliseconds. So as I'm adding more lights per cluster, it's starting to get more and more expensive. You can see, like, that's a light. You can see that, like, it's like it was able to fit it into the cluster, but if I turn a little too far, see, this is where I think the binning isn't working properly. Like, I think that the binning isn't working properly, and that's why those are being omitted there on the sides when they shouldn't be. So it could just be a binning problem that is causing it to have more lights in a cluster than it needs to have. If that's wrong, if that math is just slightly wrong, it's enough to maybe screw things up pretty bad. But yeah, so that's the problem. Is it's definitely the light shaders time. So I need to look at my binning and make sure that's all really tight, because if that is not perfectly tight and the math is not exact, it is going to be bad. And then I just need to look at like the actual cost, the actual lights. You know, at the moment, I haven't really done too much to improve it, but you know, this is the processing it does for every light. You know, it samples this texture 2 different times. That's probably bad. Shit, 3 different times. So that's not good. Probably be better if it sampled that like 1 time, right? Yeah, and these samples are definitely not helping me, guaranteed. 3 samples per pixel, you know, just for lighting information, per pixel per light, right? So this is probably the worst of it. So that's probably a big chunk of it. The math is probably not as big a deal, even though these could probably be very expensive or kind of expensive. I think the math is less of the deal, but also there's some optimizations here probably that I'm not handling. Like this normal, I guess that normal's per light. So that normal is for the scene, right? Like the normal is the same for every light. However, when it comes in here, it's doing light direction doesn't need to be done, but view direction in this don't need to be done. So it's kind of like it could probably be more optimal. And I don't know if the shader is optimizing this far ahead. Maybe it is. Maybe it's doing a better job optimizing it than I'm thinking. That'd be nice. But it's something we have to check, right? But yeah, that stuff's probably not the greatest. But this is probably a bigger deal, like distribution. Half is light direction, view direction, so that doesn't need to have to be calculated per. I'm just looking to see like what's in here that probably doesn't need to be per pixel. This is probably all very expensive, and I could probably be doing this with lookup tables better than everything else. I'd have to really look at the optimized shader just to see like are there things that I could be doing better, but probably the biggest thing, the shadow sample is actually pretty cheap compared to everything else because it's just a single shadow sample. I think it's actually currently a single shadow sample. I forget. It's in our shaders. It does some math. It has to look up the right shadow and thing, but it's fairly straightforward. This PCF sample, I think, is actually doing a pretty cheap thing, or nothing at all. Yeah, it's doing it fairly. I mean, this is kind of an expensive PCF, but actually it's pretty small. It's just like 3 samples. We could probably be doing it better, more optimized version, gather function instead of just a regular simple texture. So yeah, these could be better, but you know, this is probably hurting me the most. That you know, I'm looking up so much lighting data. Sorry, wrong thing. This is probably what's hurting me the most. You know, so getting some of this stuff out of here, or trying to optimize this or pack this in a better way. Yeah, packing that into a better format might help a lot. Anyways, Or really, maybe it should be separate textures. That might actually perform better than doing 3 samples of the same texture, because I think it can do in parallel, if I remember correctly. Anyways, so yeah, I think that's it for today. Sorry, it was kind of boring. Oh, I just didn't have any great ideas for today, and I was kind of stuck with stuff and kind of wanted to do simple things today and not anything complicated. But thanks for watching. As always, follow us on Twitch and YouTube. We're trying to increase our counts. Where are we at on Twitch now? And I can never tell where we're at, because I can't ever read. The thing is, some of these websites, everything is so... we're at 105 followers out of... we have a goal to get to 110. We just need 5 more. 5 more followers, we'll get there. YouTube's been doing pretty good lately. We've been putting up some new videos, some new shorts that are pretty exciting. Go check those out. Also, donate to MonoGame. That helps us move things forward. We have a lot of cool stuff coming, and donation of not just money but your time, looking at issues, reporting issues, suggesting features. Those all help us. So for sure, do that. All right, guys. Thanks. See you guys later. Bye.